Hi, my name's Dan Clark. Most people know me as Nitro from the American Gladiators, that hit TV show back in the 90s. And for those of you who followed my life over the years, you probably just think I'm this very confident, outgoing alpha type who's been lucky enough to have a series of successes in everything from playing professional football, starring on TV, speaking, writing, etc. But what I want to talk about today is something that I've had to come to grips with over the last 40 years. It's something that I hate. It doesn't make me feel very strong. It doesn't make me feel confident. It makes me feel weak. But at least it has me be honest. Because I know there's tens of millions of people out there just like me who you think are cool, confident, and have their stuff together. But every day they struggle with this thing I call the beast. What is this beast? It's anxiety. You and I suffer from anxiety. Now you may want to call it stress, pressure, or overwhelm. I mean, you can call it whatever you want. I call it the beast. But this beast, this anxiety, it's the number one thing that gets in your way and my way from having the happiness and success that we want in life. Now, the people you see who have those amazing lives, who you say, oh gosh, I wish my life was like that. They have that life. It's not because they're smarter than you. It's not because they're more talented than you. It's not because they don't have anxiety and stress. It's for one simple reason. They have learned coping tools and mechanisms that help them calm this beast. You know, for me, this beast, it started at a young age. And now some of you may have worse stories, some of you may have better stories, and some of you may have lived a good life, but that doesn't lessen what you feel. You know, for me it was simple. I was 10 years old. My older brother Randy was 12, and Randy, he was my rock, he was my hero, he was my idol, he was my everything. He was the one constant in my life from the divorces and moving from city to city, state to state, country to country. I always had him, and that made it okay. When we were 10 and I was 12, he got electrocuted. And he literally died in front of my eyes, just me and him playing alone in the backyard. That was the moment I became who I am today. And I didn't have the traditional parents in the sense where they would traditionally help a kid cope with something like this. My mom was Japanese. She barely spoke the language, and her culture was all about not showing emotion. And my dad, well, my dad was a Marine, and he was an alcoholic. So at 10 years old, I was left to cope with this on my own, and it created this emotional instability that I've had to deal with my whole entire life. At 10 is also when I started to drink liquor. For the next few years, I just tried to hold my life together and try to find some semblance of an identity through sports. But by the time I was 14 and a freshman in high school, I was still terrible at the sport of my choice, which was football. So halfway through the season, football season, I quit the team. I figured nobody cared, it didn't matter. And now, at 14, I was left with no prospects, no hope for the future, no purpose. And I started cutting school more, I started drinking more, I started dabbling with drugs like LSD, cocaine, angel dust. I mean, you name it, I took it. And my life was going nowhere fast. But then I got lucky. I met this mentor, and this mentor completely changed my life. He taught me one tool, and this tool was creative visualization. I took this one tool and I used this tool to completely change my life. In 1 year using this tool, I went from that kid who was cutting school, about to get kicked out of school, who was taking drugs, who was fat, overweight, lonely, with no purpose in his life, to 1 year later, I became MVP of my sophomore football team. I used that same tool to be the first kid out of my high school to get a scholarship to a top 20 Division I football school. I used that same tool to play professional football, to get on American Gladiators. And I have to say, you know, life was pretty good. But the thing about success, you know, success tricked me. Success and what I'd learned, the paradigm I learned my entire life, told me if you worked hard, you got the things you wanted in life, that you were going to be happy and you're just going to sail off into living happily ever after. But it didn't work out that way for me, because I still hadn't calmed the beast. I first noticed, you know, I couldn't hold intimate relationships, yet alone be faithful. I was drinking and partying and going out all the time. I mean, when I say partying, I was getting obliterated. And I noticed when I was at my drunkest or my highest, I would end up lying on the floor and crying. And then it started to bleed over into my normal life, these bouts of depression. You know, I'd be driving down Sunset Boulevard and all of a sudden these just spontaneous tears would be coming. And that's when I knew something else had to change. That's when I knew I had to dig deeper. That's when I knew I had to get more tools in my life, tools that dealt with happiness, with fulfillment, with gratitude, with being in service. So I spent the next years of my life developing and getting all these tools, and my life completely changed again. I now had meaning in my life. I now had purpose. I now had tools that I could use every single day that helped me calm the beast. Now I want to teach you these same tools. These tools that I've spent 40 years combining and putting into a toolbox that will help you live a happy, more meaningful and successful life, whatever that word success means to you. And I can honestly say it hasn't been until the last few years, when I've been using these tools fully, that I could finally, for the first time, look in the mirror and say, I am proud of the man I am. Before I could say I'm proud of the things I accomplished, but I could never say that before. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be able to look in the mirror and say you are proud of the person you are. When you can do that, that's winning. That's taking control of your life. That's calming the beast. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to, over the next few weeks and months, look out for emails from me, look out for Facebook Lives, look out for my new podcast that I'm going to start. So together we can work on calming the beast so you can have the happiness, success, and fulfillment in your life you deserve. I look forward to connecting with you soon. Dan Nitro Clark out. I think that was a pretty good take.